Imagine you're locked inside an empty concrete room. The heavy iron doors slam shut, and when you look around, you realize there is absolutely nothing inside to help you escape, except for a single mirror hanging on the wall. If you approach this from a purely physical standpoint, you are stuck. The concrete is unbreakable, the door won't budge, and a fragile piece of glass offers zero leverage. Relying on real-world literal logic guarantees that escaping is physically impossible. But here is how you get out. This logic map illustrates the trick. You look into the mirror, you see what you saw, you take that saw, and you cut the heavy iron door right in half. Obviously, you cannot conjure a physical saw out of thin air, but this classic riddle is the perfect introduction to lateral thinking. The solution to breaking out of that room was found by abandoning physical reality in favor of linguistic agility. Human brains are wired to take the quickest, most literal path to a conclusion. To solve complicated problems in reality, we have to recognize and deconstruct the three primary cognitive traps our minds automatically fall into. Mastering these mental pivots provides the framework required to break out of our own rigid programming. To understand our first trap, linguistic rigidity, we have to look at how our brains process language in real time. We automatically lock words into specific categories based on the immediate context. This flowchart tracks how your mind parses the mirror puzzle by using a reflexive pun. When you hear the phrase, "see what you saw," your brain instantly locks onto the past tense verb for vision. A cognitive barrier goes up, blocking you from interpreting the word saw as a noun for a cutting tool. Applying lateral thinking forces a linguistic override. You have to consciously discard the assumed context of the sentence so your mind can connect with those secondary definitions. Whether you are parsing a tricky riddle or navigating a tense contract negotiation, what appears to be an impossible physical barrier is often just a grammatical misunderstanding. Let's consider two completely different scenarios. On one side, you are stranded on an island, terrified of the water and unable to swim. On the other, a highly competitive corporate boss claims he can beat any employee at arm wrestling, and a muscular new hire challenges him. Both of these scenarios introduce our second trap, assumed constraints. The human mind strongly dislikes a vacuum of information. When details are missing from a story or a problem, our brains will automatically invent rules to fill in the blanks. In the island survival scenario, you still manage to escape safely without swimming. How? Because nobody ever explicitly stated you were stranded on a deserted island. You likely assumed you were completely alone, even though there were locals nearby with a boat. With the arm wrestling challenge, the boss wins the bet against the physically stronger employee. As a listener, you project the idea that a competition must be carried out in the spirit of physical fairness.
But the boss bypasses the physical challenge entirely by exercising his executive power to fire the new employee on the spot. By removing the challenger from the company's payroll, he maintains his undefeated record against any man who works here on a technicality. To see how we cut through that noise, look at this logic grid matrix. We have 3 guys, Jem, Bob, and Sean, and 3 girls, Ashley, Tina, and Sally. They are all pairing up into couples, but there are strict intertwined rules about who can date who, involving siblings and a hatred for tennis. The strategy of deductive elimination is the antidote to an overwhelmed brain. By crossing out the impossible matches, like Jem dating his own sister Ashley, or Jem's tennis-playing girlfriend being the tennis-hating Tina, we strip away the excess social noise. The remaining boxes give us undeniable facts. Bob is dating Jem's sister Ashley. Jem's tennis partner has to be Sally. That clears the board completely and reveals the final pair. Sean naturally spends his time hanging out with Tina. That exact same methodology applies to the chaotic car crash. By ignoring the suspect shouting and looking at the ground, you can identify a single undeniable physical clue. The tire tracks left on the floor match the truck driven by the guilty suspect. The lies instantly fall apart. Solving highly complex, noisy situations requires aggressively filtering out human distraction so you can isolate the raw, indisputable data. When we step back and look at these puzzles, a clear pattern emerges. Success requires consciously overcoming linguistic rigidity, strictly auditing any assumed constraints, and filtering out massive waves of information overload.
Regularly navigating these puzzles prepares the mind to pivot during high-stakes, unpredictable situations in everyday life. Mastering lateral thinking allows you to identify paths that remain invisible to those following a strictly literal set of rules. I want to know how your mind works. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these 3 cognitive traps was the most difficult for your brain to overcome today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now to keep training your brain. Drop a like on this video and share this episode with a friend to test their mental flexibility. I will see you next time.